We'll have our departmental monthly reports. We'll start with the police first. Chief?
I didn't distribute reports this evening because when I was going over, actually last week, I realized there is a discrepancy with the software that the police department is using. And we've got to call in to the company to find out what the problem is. And I'm gonna give you an example. The, report generates that there were 20 arrests, but then when I look at it individually, it tells me we arrested 15 male and 9 female. That's 24 people. So there's a 4-person discrepancy, and I don't understand what the problem is. We've called, Cordware, or whatever name they go under, and basically been told it's above their head, and they're gonna pass it on down the road. So I've told Dawn to call them back tomorrow and tell them that I want someone down here to look at this system. I need to get with Mr. Al and, both of us do a little research and find out what that's costing the city, what kind of contract we're under with these folks if they can't resolve the problems. But I'm gonna give you what the numbers reveal, but I don't know how accurate they're gonna be. And this comes strictly from that software. For the month of February, 162 criminal reports were taken. 9 cases assigned to investigative division, 134 traffic and ordinance citations, 60 written warnings, 9 traffic accidents, 20 arrests, which is actually more than 20, as I just explained. According to Ms. Carroll, fine money collected was $9,700, probation $10,670.50. I believe if you compare it to last month's and the month before, you're gonna see a substantial increase there, and I hope that continues. We had right at $21,000 worth of property stolen, but had a couple of stolen vehicle reports. I don't know where they're at with that because I speculate whether or not they might have been repos. Last Monday, we had, just give you a little insight on how we closed out February. We had 2 shootings last Monday that will probably hit the paper this evening. And I didn't release anything immediately. Of course, our local newspapers don't get anything out until it's after it's already occurred anyway. Last Monday after lunch, myself and the GBI agent, we were eating lunch and we're gonna ride around some neighborhoods, and I was just gonna show them some things. Folks I used to work with in Douglas are wanting to come over and work, state level as well. And we immediately got out with a guy that we determined had a 38 special in the waistband of his pants. It was loaded. Got the gun, he ran. We ended up catching him after about a 5-10 minute foot pursuit. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. Why he's in Alma, Georgia with a handgun, I have no idea. About Monday afternoon, between 5 and 6, had a shooting, kind of a drive-by style shooting at 14th and Miller. We know we had 1 shot based off of witness statements, but couldn't find the victim, couldn't find the suspect. We followed up several leads on vehicle descriptions we were given, but I think after we finally got some sound interviews, we were not given adequate vehicle information. 11:30, almost 11:30 that night, we had another shooting. My personal opinion is it was a retaliation shooting. I've got a vehicle that I had the GBI come in and process last week that's got probably no less than 20 bullet holes in it. Witnesses describe what they believe to be submachine gun fire, automatic style fire. And if you look at the vehicle and the bullet holes in the vehicle, it substantiates that, especially if you've ever shot an automatic weapon and know how a weapon reacts to a trigger pull in that manner. The driver of the vehicle maintains that she was by herself and no one was with her, although we had blood-soaked passenger seat and blood on the door panel. Another reason why I called GBI in to take blood samples. I believe it was a retaliation shooting, although I can't prove that at this time. I hesitated on releasing information because I was trying to get a little more sound information before I started alarming the public in regards to the suspects, but I believe the suspects that I've released are are sound. If nothing else, they're persons of interest that we need to talk to. We know one of them's got a bullet hole in his leg, just don't know where he's at. I don't know about the other one. Blood did not come from the lady driving the vehicle Monday night, it come from someone. And it was not copious amounts, not an arterial bleed, but nonetheless, someone was injured and we don't know who it was. Personnel issue real quick, we had 3 guys in the academy. One of them quit midstream about 6 weeks into it, West Bunyard. He was a gentleman that was hired from the prison in Nichols. I had high hopes for him because he was a canine handler at Nichols. But regardless, Friday, 2-3 weeks ago, I guess he decided he couldn't deal with it anymore and he quit the academy.
However, he had some personal issues. Could have
He
been.
did, but he was also having some issues in the academy when it came to the physical training. Zorro is now going to be working Raider. He's basically having to start at scratch with Raider. Nicole has moved into Ware County, and she came to me prior to the move and said that she was going to be moving out of the county. She offered up that Zach Zorro would be a good candidate to take the dog, so I took her advice on it, and I spoke with him first, and he wanted to do it. So we're going to give it a shot. I'm having the dog trained in Waycross. One of the Ware State Prison Correctional Officer K-9 handlers. No charge to the city of Alma. It just takes a little time. He's having to work it around his schedule, but considering it's not going to cost us anything, that's the way to go. One other case I'll mention. Last month, just right down the street, we had probably one of the largest drug busts that's ever been in South Georgia. We seized almost 7 pounds of crystal methamphetamine that I know came from California, and according to the person I arrested, was headed to Philadelphia. I don't think it was going to stay here in the community, but you never know. Don't know how long that's been going on. We got 7 pounds is roughly 3 keys. We assisted the county with a case in the county where they got an additional kilo of this. And of course, we got a little over a pound of marijuana and seized over $6,000 cash. The numbers I originally gave out to the public were incorrect because when the lady got to the jail, they found that she had almost $1,000 shoved in her clothing when they changed her out. So just to bring you up to speed, in January and February, we had a couple of good drug arrests and we seized an even $26,000. Now, once that's said and done, the district attorney's office will maintain 10% of that, and the city drug account will receive 90% of that, provided that it is granted to us by a judge. Had some radio communication issues last weekend, but I'm going to speak with Mr. Al in greater detail about that. I spoke with Jennifer today, and as well as her assistant, and I think there are some equipment issues over there that are hampering public safety in the community. And once I get more information, I'll explain that in greater detail. That's all I have.
Any questions, Chief? If not, we'll move on to, code enforcement.
For the month of February, had building inspections, had 1 framing inspection, 3 electrical inspections. On permits, we had a mobile home permit issued and a building permit issued. And had 48 hours to help out the police department. And cleanup week is scheduled for April 11th through April 16th.
Thank you, Peter.
Gary has some issues he brought to my attention that need to go to court, the code enforcement issue. And we'll work with the attorney and try to get those things prepared, get them on up the line, try to clear that backlog. There was a bit of a backlog. We could find out how we can help the attorney facilitate this, get our papers.
Where is the framing? What is that?
It's the framing your structure up, your, rafters and wall studs and all, called a framing inspection.
David Lee, is it David Lee?
What is that going to be? What is that going to be?
It's like a, workshop.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on down to Public Works.
We pumped 15,073,000 gallons of water, treated 24,617,000. Sewer treatment plant, we hauled off 9 tons of sludge to Drawhurst. There was 29 loads of limbs hauled out to the landfill. The maintenance department fixed 3 water leaks, unstopped 6 sewer lines, changed out 63 meter registers, just the registers. And then they changed out 21 meters, complete meters. They done 43 locates, and we put in 1 new water and sewer service at the U car lot on West 12th Street. And the detail's been picking up paper and cleaning up around the shop and, keeping the cemetery clean. And Progress Road has been paved and completed.
Thank you. Any questions?
Where's Progress Road?
Right here by the old bowling alley.
I think that's the last road.
That's the last road in the city.
I want to add to the agenda, and I'm going to change the order, and work with them about how to write some summaries that can go in the books, and just have monthly scoreboards, a few key indicators. I'd like to get the theater to also start doing a little scoreboard and put it in the monthly reports also. I'll try to get that started later.
Thank you. We received from, Council on Aging today a letter, there's an appointment that's up, a 3-year term that expires June 30th of 2016, and the person that's serving in that position at this time is Holly Brown. I don't know if anybody knows her, but anyway, I looked back on the, it gave us an attendance record, and she had attended the meetings 75% of the time, so I didn't know if y'all wanted to reappoint her. But at next meeting, I just received a letter today, so at next council, I'll have more information for you on that appointment. And y'all be thinking if you wanna make another appointment to the area on aging through the RC Commission.
They asked that appointment to be made by early May, so they can be ready for June.
Yes. Okay, number 3 is the, 2016 calendars for the Mary Council.
Okay,
And the holidays.
I tried to prepare that, based on what basically they instructed me. If you look at the first one is the mayor and council calendar, and they all start at 6 o'clock, of course, on Monday, and the first Monday of each month, except there's a couple of them. If you go down to July 4th, that actually occurs, in conflict, so we just recommended moving to the following Monday, July 11th. Same thing occurs again on Labor Day. That's the first Monday of the month. You'll have that every year. And so we're recommending just go to the 12th, following Monday, if that suits you all. And it looks like, and I like to publish these calendars about the first 2 months of the following year, so if things don't happen on a schedule of things, people can see what's coming. And looks like January of 2017, we're gonna wind up with a conflict on that. January the 2nd, which will be a day off that Monday. So the 9th would be the suggested date for that. If that suits you all, we'd like to submit the annual calendar. Normally. The other important thing about it is, and particularly in counties for the courthouse, the board sets the business hours, which are, and things, well, I'll come to that next meeting, with the 5:30 work session and 6 o'clock regular meeting. If that suits you all, that'd be the appropriate thing to act on. The mayor would authenticate it.
The next page is the appointment that I was telling you about. And then do we have our holidays in here?
Yes, ma'am, that's the next page.
Okay.
Second page is the holidays, and I'll call the attention. There's a whole series of holidays that are published, and a couple other things. There's been conversation about, of course, there's ML King Day in January. President's Day in February. But, Good Friday was not in the policy, but I think there's been conversation about having a holiday on Good Friday. So that's why I highlighted that. Then there's Memorial Day, and of course, 4th of July, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day. And then it's my understanding there's a long tradition here of on Wednesday before Thanksgiving that there's a city and county joint luncheon, and so it's a 12 noon early closing. And we ought to publish that, if that's what, and they all jointly get together for that. And Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving. Christmas Eve and Christmas fall on Saturday and Sunday. So actually you observe Christmas Eve on the Friday, and you observe, Christmas Day on the Monday, and that's why the 23rd and the 26th, according to the policy, they say it comes on a Saturday, you go to work Friday before, if it's on a Sunday, you go. So that's how that one hit. And of course, Christmas is, and New Year's are always on the same calendar day, same day. So January the 2nd is New Year's Day, and so that's when you would observe that. And that's also, if you look back at the mayor council meeting, that's why the 9th. If that suits you all. And we'll publish it and use that for the calendar for the year, let everybody know. The mayor would sign the authenticating events. These two.
Splash,
Is there gonna be a motion to adopt?
yes. Have y'all had a chance, y'all wanna do it next time, or y'all have a chance to look at it?
What we've always done in here, huh?
The only difference is the Good Friday,
Good Friday,
half a day on Good Friday. I noticed that John's closing all day, right, Johnny?
They usually let us go, but it wasn't official.
Right.
Do I have a motion to approve the calendar? Okay, motion by Ms. Rose, Bernita, Ms. Bernita, do I have a second?
What are we doing on Good Friday?
Closing all day,
I'm good with all that.
You're closing all day?
an all day closing, yeah, that's what we're observing Good Friday, that's what I thought, that's what I understood. Or did you wanna have an early closing?
I make a motion that you take all day.
Okay. Pick a number.
That sure makes it a good Friday.
Boys will think it's a real Good Friday.
Okay, so I have a first and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried, calendars approved as read.
We'll normally bring those to you to January. Thank you. Want me to tell them about SPLOST 2015?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've gone over this a bit in work sessions. The Public Works Fund has, from the 2005 SPLOST, unexpended funds of about $195,928.79. That's the best number we've got, but it might, she might, I know, but you might have a later thing. We try to make those better. But we need to obligate those by the end of the year. We'll be bringing you a project list. I've heard y'all talk about playground improvements, heard you talk about some other little types of improvements, and also road projects and things that we can get done this season. And, particularly that 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th Street, and that back in there. Anyway, we'll get you a list and get that around, and so we can get started on it, but also by April, you can make it official.
Thank you. And Splash 2012?
Is on 2012, there's a line item in 2012 that was the fire department, it's listed as fire department and equipment, and it's $30,000. Since you all have subsequently made arrangements and the fire department has passed absolute to the jurisdiction of the county, that changes that, and that needs to be rebudgeted. To do that, I understand that there's 2 public hearings are required. The staff could hold one in late March. We can advertise properly, hold one in that late March, and then at your all's next meeting in April, come 5:30, have a public hearing about that, and then you're eligible to reprogram that money and get it legally set up so we can move forward and decide whether the line items within SPOS law can be applied. We'll have some recommendations for you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Then on the next item, public buildings, there's a tier 2 joint project. We want to know about our funds and they can follow the law, and we talked about that, but we would request, once all the tier 2 funds have been paid, then we want to receive our balance, and you send that down to our account. Should stay, if we're the custodian of that, it ought to be in our account. We have to account as an independent government, just like the county does, or the school board. And the final item is, once all tier 2 funds have been collected, there's tier 1, which are like jails and courthouses that are countywide. Tier 2 are joint projects. Tier 3 are just city and county split on that ratio. Then once those are done, we want all those deposited in accordance with the general law and general practice. So they should be deposited to our account within 10 days. State sends one check to the county. They're to split and send it to the appropriate cities. I've been in places where they had 6 cities that had to do that. They just have to be with one, but they ought to be able to send that on. We just want them. And this asks for y'all's authority, and I would write a letter just to ask, once we hit that cross that tier 2 threshold, and we want that money, comes in on the last day of the month, they ought to get it here by the 10th. Just simply write the check upstairs, bring that in. Any questions on 2012? We'll proceed in that manner.
Okay, the LME,
There's a special allocation coming. It's coming out of the new fuel tax, and that we've been advised of, gotten some letters from the district office. And so it seems to be the concurrence of both city and the county that Cumberland Road from US 1 up past Douglas on up to the school is the priority. If we could widen that 2 feet and bring it up to DOT standards, there'd also be fill dirt to put a 4-foot shoulder outside of that, according to probably members of the county. And we would ask the county, if they're gonna administer it, probably use their engineers with communications and let them do that. And that, they said they could do that if they're, at least, I just talked to some of them, I don't have this in the whole board. Talking to Commissioner Jerry Turner, and then I talked to Chairman, Mr. Hutto, just to make sure that we're all communicating about it. But there's a 30% match for any DOT funds, and they would provide that 30% match with their in-kind work and dirt work. We could offer our dump trucks to help out, all that type of thing, and try to get it done as quickly as possible. The project must be completed by the end of the year. We give them 90 days to get that project out to bid. If not, then we'll come in and supplement that with our engineering services and get that project moving, if that suits the board.
very good. And, general fund, prior retirement,
Yeah, there was some things, a lot of stuff moved around apparently very quickly when the big fire settlement came and all that. The firemen, it was determined that it was better that they stay in the retirement fund that they're in, which was hosted by the city. And for them to maintain continuity and that they had all vested. So that amounts to about $173,000 a year. So that stayed in our account. The second component is that the city signed an agreement to have enhanced fire service in the city above the basic service offered by the county. They would pay an annual amount of about $175,000. What was not clarified at that point is, if we're not to pay both. We want to take the $173,000 as credit toward that payment, that annual payment. And then if there's any cash due after that, we'd be glad to send a check for that and get all this straightened out so that it's one transaction. And I'd be glad to, with your all's permission, write a letter to the county to explain that and say, this is the way we understand that's properly administered.
okay, thank you. Okay. Department of Transportation request for traffic studies.
Carl has helped us. There's 2 places of issue, particularly all the people trying to get to and from in and out of town on the west end and getting over to the elementary school at Douglas Street and bypass and Highway 32. The partners, there's been lots of conflicts and continual wrecks. because there's such a stream of traffic, they can't get a break, and people misjudge it, or they're a little car behind a big truck, and one makes it and the other one doesn't. That's also related to the bypass at the intersection there. So if they would look at all three of those, and there might be a possibility of getting a traffic light maybe at the bypass intersection, and it would create a break so that traffic can move more safely and all. The other is, and that was all created primarily by school effects and things like that. The second one has a school effect also. Now that the high school has settled in at US 1 and Radio Station Road, they get such backups that the signal, which was put in a number of years ago, needs to be upgraded and have left turn indicators on it and have time and space provided in the timing cycle for that. We'd like them to take a look at those, let the traffic engineers look at that. And then we can also talk to our DOT representative, Mr. Purcell, on the board about urgency of those issues. With your all's permission, we'll send those letters. And Carl tells me that they've gotten everything in order, and he helped me with these traffic study letters. But on the Georgia DOT, the downtown streetscape that goes from Church Street to US 1, the grant documents by the staff have been filed, the grant documents by the mayor have been filed. The attorney just gave the certification today, and that's been scanned, so all the green lights are open. It goes to DOT, and Lauren Alphabetti, who's their contractor to run that program. And the next step is the environmental reviews. And we work our way through. That's not a fast process. As we work our way through, they'll finally give us a notice to proceed, let the contract, and get the streetscape done, Church Street, past the theater, all the way down to US 1, and finish downtown.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have our city attorney's report on the streetscape title certification.
Streetscape, I think we've turned that in, and we.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we reported. Came in this afternoon, all scanned.
Sorry,
And what you got on the Brazelton building?
if we can discuss that, that's pending litigation, can we discuss that in executive session?
Yes. Do you have anything else?
I actually have two other things, that need to go into executive session also. Both of them pending litigation.
Okay. Okay, we'll skip down to the city manager's report.
Okay, it's been expressed to me both during the interviews and then after I arrived that, there was a great interest in going ahead with annexation of the major highways, reach on out. And it puts us in a position for economic development and new customers develop out there with water and sewer and a variety of things. But to go out main roads, US 1 north and south, Georgia Highway 32 east and west, and also Radio Station Road. We understand Baxley and Patterson have done this, and we can go over there. But our goal would be for the staff to try to support the county attorney and help him focus on the legal work, and we can do a lot of the leg work and preparing things to try to make it as smooth as possible for the city attorney to get through it. Because running around doing a lot of things that Carl and I do, that's better our job. He's got to sort of schedule it.
And I appreciate that. I've talked with Alex Johnson, the city attorney longtime city attorney over in Baxley, good friend of mine. I usually go crying to him when I need help. He's provided me a good bit of documentation that I frankly have not gone through yet, and I need to on annexation. But he's generally a very good, always a very good guy. But I have not gone through it. My bad. I'm very sorry. But
Well, that's fine.
I did reach out to him, but he's helped a lot. He explained a lot of the process to me. It's a little bit different from the annexation of raw land like we did, but anyway, he explained some of the nuances because they have done quite a bit of a lot of that. But he sent me the documents they filed. I'll just need to adapt some of those, and I'll give the city manager.
We'll make it forward, do it for convenience.
Absolutely.
We'd like to get this moving in the next 90 days.
No worries, I'm the one behind on that. But I've got the information, just gotta get it in my overwrought brain.
Well, I haven't done that in a long time, and so it's good for both of us. We'll just catch up to speed and get to it.
Thank you,
And we're here to help in any way we can.
thank you, I need it.
Our next meeting of the mayor and council will be at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, April the fourth. GMA's Georgia Cities Week is, in April. Our cleanup week will be April the 11th through April the 15th, so got anything you wanna get rid of? April the 11th through the 16th will be the time to do it. We do need an executive session, so I'm going to ask for a motion for the executive session. Motion by Mr. Hughes, to have a second. Second by Mr. Scott. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?